Hello, everybody. Hello. I'm looking forward to seeing you all here. Thank you so much for coming.
Yes.
I just want to let you know my name is Daniel McDonald. I'm a proud deaf Aboriginal man. I come from a mob called the Wonnarua clan in the northern Hunter Valley region. I'm an artist and I go by the name of Deadly Handhawk. And I'm also a member of the Sydney Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Land Council. And I'm also here to represent, but I'm not here to represent them today. I just wanted to welcome you here to Gadigal land. I would like to pay my respects to the elders from past, present and future. And I wanted to acknowledge any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today, all of my brothers and sisters. It doesn't matter if you're Aboriginal or not, doesn't matter where you come from, Indigenous or non-Indigenous, we are still brothers and sisters here today. Today we joyfully gather here and it's right to pay our respects to the First Nations people of the waters and the lands. Today is the 4th of December, and we have a very special event for accessible arts. Creative partnerships and pathways. I would like to thank you for inviting me to this event. And there are many, many different cultures, and we have a great diversity of people here in Australia. I would like to tell you a story about one of my paintings. It's called Let Me Thrive. We could not hear, we could not see behind us. There is a hand on my back. The hand pushes our backs. We fall into a black hole. We could not see. We could not hear in the dark. But we figure it out. We feel a chair. We sit on a chair. There is no one to talk to in the dark. Sitting in silence. For many hours, days and months, there is nowhere to go. Inside the black hole, it is pitch black. Darkness is the hardest part of life. The black hole has no rope. What will we do? The sun rises across the sky, and the rays touch our hands. It's enough to see roots growing up the wall. A caterpillar starts crawling up the black hole. I watch the caterpillar wrapping up into its cocoon. It stays for many weeks. The cocoon opens up, wings. The caterpillar has changed into a butterfly. We watch as the butterfly flies out of the black hole. There is a new, strong branch. We listen. We listen to our hearts and we learn. Nobody tells us. Nobody shows us. Nobody shows us how to break the barriers. No one throws a rope. We start climbing with the branch, beginning to breathe. We climb out of the black hole. We smell the green grass and the lavender flowers. The clouds begin to break apart and the sun rays shine through. We watch the butterfly and we say goodbye. I am like a bird, and I know what I'm doing. I can fly wherever I want to go, free. Let us thrive, loud and proud. thrive. On Gadigal land here today, it doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter where you're from, but you are here on Gadigal land, remembering the past and the present, acknowledging inclusion, understanding each other, and respecting each other. Please keep in contact with your family and friends and travel home safely. Enjoy your event. Thank you and enjoy.
Those really beautiful sentiments and that expression. It was very special to listen to. I'm Sally Webster. I'm the Director of Program Delivery at the Art Gallery of New South Wales, and I'm really delighted to see you all in the audience this evening, as well as our online audience, I believe, to access ideas and insights, creative partnerships and pathways, which is presented in collaboration with Accessible Arts. And this wonderful event is part of our acknowledgement of International Day of People with Disability, which, as I'm sure you all know, was yesterday on the 3rd of December. The theme of this evening's panel discussion is amplifying the leadership of people with disability for an inclusive and sustainable future, which will highlight, reflect and amplify the creative practice and leadership of artists with lived experience of disability, as well as focus on creating opportunities for increased representation in an inclusive and sustainable manner. The wonderful speakers on the panel will provide us the opportunity to learn more about disability-led programs, initiatives and pathways that support the creative and professional development of artists and art workers with disability and those who are deaf. So please, I hope you enjoy tonight's discussion, and I also hope that after the panel you'll take time to enjoy our sensory-free Art After Hours and the events that are on in our southern building, Nulla Nura, which includes a performative workshop by Eugenie Lee and the MOVE program with Sue, Joe Wright and Angie Gotto. So thank you and enjoy tonight's panel discussion.
Thank you very much, Sally. I want to say hello and welcome you all here. My name is Justine Schuh-Pearson, and I'm going to be your MC for this panel this evening. I want to give a heartfelt thanks to Daniel for that really wonderful welcome here today. We're in this building, which is so beautiful, here in Mears Hall at Nulla Badu, which I believe means looking to the water. Is that correct? It's just there. We've got a curtain behind us, so we can't see it, but it's like palpable, the Sydney foreshore. And I feel always when I come to the gallery here or to this part of the city, I am reminded about that view here on Gadigal country. And I looked up this morning because I wanted to remember this instruction that the wonderful playwright Jane Harrison gives at the beginning of The Visitors, which is a play that has been touring the country this year, so you might have seen it about the place. It describes First Nations people here on this country watching the first fleet arrive. And Jane gives as not the first line of the play, but in the preamble to the play, where she sets out where we are, she says, on an escarpment overlooking a harbour, sandstone cliffs and bush. And that so aptly describes where we are here today to remember what an important site this is in Australian history, but also who was here looking after this country for such a long time. So I want to give my thanks and acknowledge also my thanks to Gadigal custodians for looking after this country. Welcome to this panel, Creative Partnerships and Pathways. It's a partnership between the Art Gallery of New South Wales and Accessible Arts. I'm very excited to be able to be up here and sharing the stage with these four wonderful people next to me. On the far side, we have Jeremy Lorenchev, who is an independent artist, a performer and producer. He produces Limitless, which is a program of the Sydney Fringe Festival, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Next, we have Carrie Glasscock, who is the CEO and director of the Sydney Fringe Festival. Here to my left, we have Danielle Gulata, who is Senior Access and Arts and Health Program Producer here at Art Gallery New South Wales. And in the middle, we have Emmanuel Asante, who is a visual artist and also a board member of We Are Studios, and also very recently the winner of the Kirk Robeson Award for Community Arts and Cultural Development from Creative Australia just 2 weeks ago. So very big congratulations to Emmanuel for that. Very nice to have you here with us. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we get going. There's going to be an opportunity for the audience to ask questions of the panel at the end. So if you're in the room here with us, you just need to raise your hand when we get to that section, and I'll let you know, and someone will bring a microphone to you. If you are online or in the audience, you can also submit your questions on Slido. And someone will pick those up and bring them to the panel. I also just want to take a moment to acknowledge our Auslan interpreters here with us this evening, Will Tapp, Joshua Ophel, and Isabella Haig. Thank you very much. All right, we're getting underway. As Sally said in the beginning, here we are on the 4th of December. The 3rd of December was the UN International Day of People with Disability, but here we are on the 4th, and frankly, every day is a day for people with disability in my book, and their theme for this year of amplifying leadership of people with disability, that's something we're going to still do every day, and so here we are. I wanted to open up the conversation. We're very lucky to have two wonderful artists on the panel with us, and I wanted to start by leading with arts making and our artist voices in the room. Maybe I can start with you, Jeremy. And in particular, you're here, we're going to talk about Limitless in a moment. You work as a producer, but you were also an artist, a performer, a dancer. And I wondered if you could talk a little bit about your practice as an artist and what has been that journey for you and what has helped you kind of create opportunities for you in your career.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, my name is Jeremy Lorenchev. My sign name is Jeremy. I might also give a quick audio description of myself, if that's okay. I'm a white male presenting. I am wearing a very colourful button-up t-shirt by Keith Haring. I'm wearing blue denim jeans and black boots, and I have short brown hair, and I'm quite tall. And yes, could we have the question again?
The question is just about you and your practice as an artist. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So, I am a proud queer deaf man from Western Sydney. I call myself a multidisciplinary artist because that's a good grant word. Basically, that means I do a lot of things, including live performance, through acting, movement, through Auslan choreography. I also do heaps of work with my twin sister, Bedelia, who I also co-produce Limitless Festival with. Shout out to them. I do a lot of advocacy work specifying in Western Sydney. Are we happy with that?
Are we happy with that? I think there's a general consensus, yes. Can I throw the same question to you, Emmanuel?
Okay, so I'll also start with a description. I am an African man wearing very colorful dress, yellow and blue, with a shiny shoe, and I'm short. So the question is me and my practice?
Yeah. And I think actually you've brought some images of your work that you are going to share with us, so we can maybe put them up.
Yes, please.
Yep. Hello?
We need a mic for Amy, who's going to give us an audio description of the images.
It's all right. Oh, there we go. Okay, so the painting features a serene woman in the foreground, surrounded by lush greenery and wildlife. The woman has brown skin, long braided black hair, gold jewellery, and a white garment draped over her head. Symbols are shown on the garment. Either side of the woman, a wolf and a leopard emerge from the foliage, as well as butterflies, a small bird. A vibrant rainforest landscape unfolds in the background with a large tree on a small island in the middle of a bright turquoise lake.
Thank you. It's just like painting with words. So I'm from Western Sydney, Fairfield, and my practice actually involves drawing, painting using coffee, and then painting, and sometimes African fabric, which actually circles back to my identity as an African in Australia. So I hope that's enough, or do you want to go more further?
Can you talk a little bit about what has kind of created opportunities for you, or how you've developed your practice?
Oh, that's a very nice, long journey, nice. So it started way back when I was in high school with my high school teacher. And those, year 11, year 12 is the time that, everyone is kind of like thinking about what they want to be in future. My goal was to be a teacher, nothing else.
Yes.
And then again, art has been something I love doing as a hobby. So I went to my teacher saying that, I've been told that there's a lot of stereotypes in the arts, like you can make a living and so on and so forth. So my art teacher was like, Imano Shish, you going for yourself and then experience it for yourself. That's the beginning of it. And then again, she even introduced a very famous artist, Abdul Abdallah, to the school as a career, advisor. So that's where it actually started. And then Abdul and he had a workshop, and Abdul and I became friends right after, because he gave a homework and no one did. I was the only one that did it. Anyway, so right after that project, he invited me to his studio, and then he was showing me one of his works. And after the end of it, I was like, oh, so is that it? And he was like, okay, I have an idea. Why don't I become your mentor and you become a mentee? And that's where everything started. And right from him, because he's very busy, he introduced me to his friend called Safta Ahmed, who is also a comic artist who is very well known in the art industry. And then through Safta Ahmed, I met Anton Pechivinin, who is also an artist as well. And right from him I met, there was so many organizations as well. And then right from there I got to meet Blacktown Art Center. Aside from Campbelltown Art Center, Blacktown Art Center, we are studios. Yes.
So it's a story of making connections with people.
Yes.
Very much so. You talk about in terms of We Are Studio, in which you are a board member as well as an artist and a teacher within that organization. You proudly call the organization disability led.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about what that means for you, but also why you think it's significant, why you proudly call the organization that?
The reason why I call it disability led, because I see We Are Studio as a family. It's a place that you are just accepted as a human. No one judge you based on your disability or your color. It's just they see you as my brother, my sister, and then you feel at home when I'm there. So that's one of the main reasons why we are 100 disability, and we are proud of our disability. It's not like disability doesn't mean you don't have an ability to create. So that's why we are proud of ourselves, because there are so many people, especially in my community that I come from, is seen as a taboo to talk about your disability. So going there in a place whereby it's okay to be yourself is something that we pride ourselves in.
That's very strong. I'm thinking about recently the Australian federal government launched Equity, which is their new plan, going alongside Revive, their cultural policy around inclusion, access and inclusion for artists with disability. And they talk about, this thing that we hear often of nothing about us without us. And that's quoted from in the equity plan, and that kind of resonates for me with this idea of going, or it's a very strong statement, and how you express it in terms of family, and there's not. We should be proud of what we bring to that. I think is a similar sentiment, but a very different way of looking at it, which is really interesting. Danielle, maybe I can throw to you just to talk a little bit about where in this, the title of this panel talk today is about pathways and partnerships. You and Emmanuel have worked together on programs here at the Art Gallery of New South Wales. I remember visiting this building when it opened and seeing Rihanna Head Toussaint's Animate Loading, which kind of was this very big scale performance, if anybody else saw it, that took in all sorts of different parts of the building here. Jeremy was a performer. I remember you coming down the escalator, leading an array of movement down the escalator and keep going up and down and up and down. It was wonderful. Can you talk a little bit about the breadth, I suppose, of the program here at Art Gallery, New South Wales?
Thank you, Justine.
Yeah.
If we start off with Animate Loading,
Yeah.
that was a phenomenal piece, a monumental piece of great contemporary art, full stop. Rihanna is an artist that the gallery had been following for a number of years and looking for opportunities to program her. And leading up to the opening celebrations, we had that little thing called COVID. So we had a little bit of extra time. We had time and space to really reflect what this new building was going to be. This new building that is accessible for all people of all ages and abilities, being a 21st century building. We wanted really to see how people moved and felt in the building. And having seen Rihanna Head Toussaint's performance in Parramatta and also at Casula Powerhouse, where she was looking at reclaiming reused spaces. We worked with our public programs and curatorial team and really looked at Rihanna's work and said, how about inviting an artist to really explore how people with a range of movement styles and lived experience of moving through the world would move through this building before anyone else would move through. And so that was commissioning a piece of amazing contemporary art. And it was something that the gallery was really looking at while we were commissioning sculptures and paintings for this building, is really how can we welcome more people with broader lived experience to experience this new building. So that was a herald work.
And it's very nice, this idea of connecting, I guess, through the public program here, the idea that this is a space to be experienced, and performance is a mode of art making that is about utilizing lived experience of the body. Maybe we could say that all art making is, actually. I don't know that any of it is not.
Exactly.
And yeah.
I was just going to mention, during that period, again, we had time, we had budget to really reflect about who we could put forward for those opening celebrations. And we were able to work with Sujo Wright and Angie Gotto. We were aware that they developed some movement programs for the Biennale, and it seemed logical, again, to look at what artists are working out there who are really at the top of their game and really invite them to work with us. And so they were invited. I can see both artists are here tonight. They were invited to create a sequence of gestural experiences, so experiencing the gallery through movement, not through language. They even invited people to wear little ear cancellation devices so people could move through the gallery without sound. We also invited Sarah Hulbert, who's probably very well known in the disability community, to actually work with us and create a sensory experience, because not everyone comes to the gallery just with their eyes. They come with their body, they feel, they smell, they move.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit then about some of the other programs, maybe the one that you at the Art Gallery and We Are Studios have worked on together?
Yeah. So the gallery has the opportunity to really connect with the broader community, and really what we're looking at is a community of artists. And by connecting with We Are Studios, we've had a very long connection with Emmanuel and many of the artists, not through recent programs this year, but going back in the past. So which when we connect with organisations or artists, it's about bringing the artists into the gallery, bringing them into behind the scenes, into our collections, having opportunities to explore exhibitions, to really invite the artists to tell us what they feel and see, and to give their feedback. Once we know about an artist or a collection of artists, sharing this with our colleagues, and that's how We Are Studios were invited to be part of Hive, a children's festival. And then my colleagues in public programs, Alex and Katie, really homed in on the unique practice of Emmanuel and invited him to be a key artist in Make It May.
Can you talk about that a little bit? Make It May?
So Make It May is one of my favorite projects. And if I'm maybe precise, it's one of my first projects ever. I get to direct, see how things are being made. So I was very, very excited to actually have the creative decision in how things will go. So the Make It May is comprises of it's a session of artworks where art sessions, where the first one was drawing, coffee painting, and using cardboard to create works, which are all in the theme of animals and about animals and storytelling. So that was all. And it's more for the children. And one thing that I love about it, it was tying with Mother's Day as well. So you can see how mothers and their children come together to create these beautiful works.
How has that, was that a very different experience for you in terms of your practice? It's kind of a facilitating others. And I'm wondering how maybe this partnership or this program has contributed to the way that you have developed in terms of your work.
Yes, it has. Because my goal or my whole being as an artist is to always give back to the community. Because coming to Australia here, that I'm going to be very, very honest. The art industry has been very, very kind to me. And my way of saying thank you, because I'm not rich to give the community $1 million.
If only.
The only thing I can give back to the community is my talent.
Yeah.
Working with families, to be precise, is one of my dreams. So seeing the family of mothers and children, coming together to create this is one of the things that brings me joy, and it's like a tick to my to-do list in life.
Yeah, that's very beautiful. I think there's a theme that's coming up, which is about relationship building. Maybe I can throw that to you, Carrie, to go. Similarly, the Fringe is a very different kind of beast, I suppose, than something like an institution like the Art Gallery, which gets to do long-range planning and gets, the Fringe is something, a festival is many-armed beast that has to get done all within a very compressed amount of time. And some of these things, though, that come back to relationship building with artists, can you maybe talk to that about how you work in that way at the Fringe?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. It's lovely to be here. I'm a middle-aged woman now. Have very curly red hair. I'm wearing a navy jumpsuit and bright pink shoes. So Sydney Fringe Festival is the largest independent arts festival in New South Wales. And we work with over 2,000 artists a year. And importantly, and most importantly, is we're a non-curated festival. And so our very essence and being at Sydney Fringe is about people having agency to tell their own stories in their own way. We don't dictate what stories are told. We try to facilitate every story that wants to be told. And so by nature, our festival should be inclusive. And we learnt a long time ago that that's not necessarily true or enough, that we need to build relationships into community and we need to remove barriers to ensure that everyone has the same level of accessibility into the festival. And because we operate year on year in a really fast timeline and we don't know what we're doing every year, so we open up for artist registrations in March and most of those shows haven't even been made yet and they're on in September. And so we have a very fast, we have a really fast, rapid moment to start to work with those artists and create them. We actually utilised the COVID down period to take a pause and to really stop and say, how do we get off this hamster wheel of event producing and take this gift that's been given to us, which is a couple of years off, and really look at what that deeper work was that we wanted to start to embed. And so that's when we first started doing our work around, we created our first Disability and Inclusion Action Plan, we started working on our First Nations roadmap as well, and we started to take the time to build those pieces of work that require long, steady time. And that really has enabled us to now deliver year on year in that fast way. The work that requires deep trust and relationships with community. And we still have lots of work to do, but we have an amazing Access Advisory Panel of which Emily Dash is here and Mowena's here, and we have a wonderful community around us that guides that work. And so for us it was really important when we created Limitless, it came from community and it's by community. And it's easier for us, I suppose, at Fringe to do that than other institutions because our very mandate is one of facilitation and not curation or making ourselves. And so really we see our role as just being able to provide whatever support community says they need and we try to find the money and resources to do that, and we try to make whatever baby steps we can each year to grow and build that program, but also the relationships. And it has been an incredibly joyful experience for us as an organisation in that deep work because it has made everything we do better. And so we have a really transparent kind of ethos within our organisation that we can only do what we can do, but we try to do that well and we try to grow it each year. And I think that's been key in that relationship building, but also in being really honest with community about what we can do and trying to put things in place to enable us to do those better each year, whether it's seeking funding or bringing on additional resources. And a core part of that for us was making sure we had team members embedded in the organisation that had lived experience, and also that we start to increase our pathways from community into the organisation, and that there is capacity building that's tied to that as well.
Yeah, maybe Jeremy, I can throw that to you because that's the perfect opening. I feel like you and your twin sister Bedelia, who I think is here and who you mentioned earlier, are the dynamic duo. You are co-producers of the Limitless program. You are also co-access coordinators of the Fringe, and which is quite an unusual role that you have sort of promoted for yourself or made possible as a offer to the Fringe. Can I say it like that? Which I think is very interesting, and I'm super interested to know what does that allow you to do in the Limitless program. Maybe some of the doing what Carrie noted is we do what we can do, but let's do it really well. And so what are those really good things that Limitless is able to do?
Yeah, as you said, yes, Bedelia and I do both roles just because we're selfish, really. No. We came on this year and I actually really like this question because it was something that Bedelia and I did think about quite a bit, of going, what are the benefits of doing both roles? Because it is two completely different roles. But because it was Limitless has been going 3 years now, and for the past 2 years it was really much like Madeline Stewart's baby, and it had that one person, and so this year was kind of the first time it was passing on the baton, you might say. And so when B and I were thinking about it, we were like, yes, let's being able to be access coordinator at the start meant we could prepare our own, like we could already lay the foundation and have more control of what was happening so that we weren't just missing out on information. And a big thing is Bedelia and I came to Fringe offering a job share, which was a big thing because we wouldn't have done I believe it's not good to only have one perspective. So what we were bringing are the two perspectives, are two individuals. So when creating Limitless and being access coordinator, it meant there was this great dialogue always happening in the office. And for me, it automatically meant I had community in the office. So we literally doubled the representation in the room. And we both have very different lived experience. So that meant there was great flexibility during pre-festival and during festival of how the dialogue was happening, what was setting up, and there were definitely learning curves of like, what does this mean? And being overall, it meant we could see what community wanted for Limitless and extending that to the larger festival. So, and then definitely something that Bedelia and I would do maybe in 2 years or something, is pass the Limitless baton on, so that we've still going access, but that way there's always fresh eyes, fresh perspective, because our community is growing so much. So it just can ebb and be this continual beautiful representation of what now is. And as Kerry said, Fringe is not curated, so it is always going to be different, which is beautiful. So I think it's important to have that fluidity for Fringe, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's also something, I think, I'm just feeling a little bit jealous. I wish I had a twin that I could job share with at this moment. I think we'd all might have some of those moments sometimes. But also just that you speak about like that you have different lived experience. The idea that you have an ally in the room is like resonant to me with what Emmanuel said at the beginning about this idea of the disability-led organization, and the idea that we know this is actually very valuable experience that we bring, and together we facilitate something better by bringing that into the room. So I feel like that's something I just wanted to kind of connect there. But also maybe to throw it open to the panel and say, that's a really interesting, I think, note for us about what the strength that we get in programs or in projects or in organizations by having more than one person representing that voice. But also, what does it allow organizations to do, maybe, to have that representation within the organization? What did these projects and these partnerships that we're talking about kind of give you as organizations? It's kind of a Kerry, Danielle question.
Yeah. Okay. For the Art Gallery of New South Wales, connecting with a network of artists. For example, in the last few years, we've worked closely with Studio A, We Are Studios, Little Orange, and recently reconnecting with Studio Arts, as well as the wider artist community. It's really important for us to follow their work, hear about what they're doing, but also for example, in my role as the Access Program producer, is find out what artists are doing, where they're going, how they're developing, and share that information more broadly with my colleagues in the curatorial team, but also in our public program team. So I might get to meet artists through building long-term relationships, inviting artists to have for example, a masterclass. The other day we had We Are Studios come in and they met with Wendy Sharp and one of our curators who was working, Natalie Wilson, to hear about behind the scenes, how the institution works, how it curates, how do artists such as Wendy Sharp, how did she start her career? So get that nourishment. It's really important, that advocacy within the organisation, to grow awareness. We're working with stakeholders. We're working with 1 in 5 people in the community who have access needs. So you may have realised, if you look at our website, we have a new tagline since opening, Art for All. So when we're talking about Art for All, it's about lived experience, how we move through the world. Art can help us to understand and really share those wonderful stories that you were talking about. So from an organisational point, from the role that I work within, I'm really hoping to find out what's happening and advocate within.
You said, Kerry, a moment ago of doing that work that kind of COVID gave you the opportunity to do at the Fringe, made everything better within the organisation. Can you draw that out a little bit for us?
Oh, sure. I suppose, we consider ourselves very much at Fringe a service organisation, although we're not by definition a service organisation, but we all operate in service of our community. And we want to make sure that we are doing that to the best of our ability in every program that we run. And so we can't possibly know what that is or how we need to do that unless we have diverse voices around the table and the mix of people in the room. And so it's been really important for us to be able to not just talk the talk but walk the walk. We've just finished our first Disability Inclusion Action Plan, our first 3-year one. We've just started our next one. And in that 3 years we went from having no team members disability to, in our 23 festival, 80% of the festival team identified as having a disability. So, the whole perspective changes of the organisation in that way, of every single decision we make, of everything we do, in the same way that we have increased representation of First Nations community too. Our whole practice of how we operate as an organisation, how we interact with each other, how we talk, how we make decisions, how we prepare programs, prepare projects. It has been shaped by the voices in those rooms. So without those, we can't, it's just one note, isn't it? And so for us, it's been an incredibly, rewarding, but genuinely rewarding process to go through. And also, we just see great work too. Limitless, some of the best work of the festival has happened at Limitless over the last 3 years. 2 of my festival director awards, I think, has gone to Limitless shows. They've taken out huge awards at the festival. They've gone to tour the world now, some of the shows that started at Limitless. And I think it's really easy to, often for people to think about these programs as just a nice to have or but this is about genuinely excellent work that should be seen. And we get excited about it because we see fantastic work and we want more of that, and it's just about creating those pathways for us. And it's the same with the team, and it's the same with, those entry points into the organisation, whether it's on the stage and being an artist or whether it's being an arts worker and coming into the organisation. It's just so important that we can get a diverse range of views around a table.
I think it makes me think about just, that art making is about connecting us to human experience.
Yeah.
And the idea that we would not represent 20% of human experience by including artists with disability, who have such a range of experience in the world and therefore such a range of interesting stories and experiences to use towards their art making is kind of what you're talking about there. Maybe this is a question for everyone on the panel about if we think about creative work or art making as cultural capital, as this idea of something that has value and meaning and builds richness within our society. How does it change the way we recognize the work that is done by artists with disability, do you think? Hard question. Deep question, yeah.
To me, I think, like, for example, when the work is there, we wouldn't know whether the person that created it is a disability or a person is just a work admired by the person, unless the artist is there himself. So, in my own experience, that's why I try to use like metaphors and asterisks and use, uses some kind of imagery in my work so that it can guide the audience to walk in the journey of my storytelling. So, like the one, my recent artwork that was really, described, is actually about my story about the womanhood, because I come from a very matriarch society. In my clan, women are held high esteem. And I know I come from, modern society is a matriarch world, so women are not, in my experience, therefore, are not really celebrated. So in my work, I try to, as much as possible, create women as a powerful being and let them know that they are also, their voices are also matter in that sense. So that's how I see my works. Thank you.
I think about what Emmanuel was saying earlier around your talent is your gift. Yeah, and I think about that a lot because I personally believe, and Fringe loudly says it all the time, that our artists are our city's greatest asset. And it is, we think about Fringe each year as the largest gift our community gives our city every year. It is a gift, right? Because it is time and energy and talent and all those things that we know in our community artists give with no expectation necessarily of financial gain. If we had to quantify it, it's immense. I mean, we do with Fringe. We know that our artists that participate at Sydney Fringe give the equivalent of $15 million in their time to create their shows to put on at Sydney Fringe in September, which is a gift to our city. And I think, everyone outside of this room could be well served to acknowledge what a gift our artists are giving our cities. And when you think of the barriers that so many of our artists have to go through every day just to make that work, it's incredibly rich and it should be the thing that we value most.
I think... Sorry, I'll just jump on. I think for me, I love the question about this capital, and so I'll just talk from my experience of growing up performing. I did the typical uni in the acting and just becoming another one of the actors, and it was really interesting that I didn't become whatever successful is, my version of successful, until I truly started to create art that represented me because it was unique. And this idea of capital, if you talk about, unfortunately we live in a capitalistic society. So for example, a diamond is the most precious thing because it's unique and difficult to come by. I would say stories specifically of marginalised communities such as disability is unique and a diamond. So for me, my work is not successful, and the works I do, for example, at Art Gallery New South Wales, or isn't successful because I'm being put on this inspo porn thing. It's more because I'm representing authentic, individual, for me, but relation to all art that is just so encapsulating. And when I see other art, for example, as Danielle also said about Sue and Angie's popular gesture tours, which people just get sucked into, and Emmanuel's art, which people get sucked into because it is, it's just delicious and scrumptious because it's so unique. And that's why I've moved to, that's why it's delightful being in producing in Fringe, because I get to, Limitless isn't a place to put on inspo porn. It's a space to show significant, unique art. It is growing per year, not just for access. I don't love my job just because typical disabled working in this field, I'm going to improve access. No, I'm improving the value of I'm working to improve the value of the artist experience, the audience experience, and just improving this authentic, valued moment. That's what I would say.
I was going to say also improving, adding to the kind of quality of work we get to see. Because if we kind of go, we're not seeing this work, or there's not enough opportunity, we're missing out on these kind of amazing artworks that we could be seeing. That's, warms the cockles of my heart. I'm all with us here. We're all in agreement that this is valuable work, right? What are the challenge? But we don't see representation to the level. We don't see 20% of art makers.
There's a lot of work to do.
Yes.
There's
Tell
a
me
lot of
about
work
that
to
work.
do.
Yeah.
It's about bringing, in working for example, at the gallery, is introducing and highlighting fantastic artists who really enrich the contemporary art landscape in Australia. Brings, as we've all said, a unique voice, unique perspectives, grows understanding. To do that within an organisation, it's about advocacy, growing awareness. Recently, last week, we ran a lived experience event for our staff with artist Eugenie Lee, and Eugenie Lee is doing a workshop this evening. And just having Eugenie come and talk to our staff, this was an opportunity to hear about her practice, her work, her research and collaboration with scientists and medical researchers around lived experience of endometriosis and other lived conditions that affect 50% of the population, but we often don't talk about it. So often when we're working with artists, in particular in our public programs, it provides an opportunity or platform to really have these discussions that often are skirted around. And if it grows awareness and highlights these amazing artists, then that's where I think more work needs to be done.
Maybe I just realized we have the Fringe Festival director here. We have someone from Art Gallery of New South Wales who gets to do that advocacy work and is taking that back to your curatorial meetings and so forth. And so maybe I will ask my final question, and this is particularly to Emmanuel and to Jeremy. Here they're held hostage, perhaps even in the room or online. We have some other organizational directors who are listening to you now. What are the things that you would want to see change? Maybe I'll ask two questions and you can choose either one to answer them. What are the things that you would wish for in your work or in partnerships with organizations? Or what is a project that in your wildest dreams you would get to do? I'll go to you first, Emmanuel, and then to you, Jeremy.
Wow.
We're listening.
Yes, like one wildest dream. Okay, so I would like to answer both, but I'll be very quick. So the first one is basically what I like to see more. I would like to see more of people of color in, big art spaces, not in locally, like, nationally, internationally, representing Australia as a large. That's something I would love to see more. And my wildest dream is to have do what, like the Make It Make version in a stadium, whereby, yes.
Dream big, Emmanuel.
Like in a stadium whereby everyone comes together and then we all create works, and then show to the world that, art industry is not only for the elite, it's for everyone. Because just like Pablo Picasso said, everyone is an artist when they're a child, but the problem is when they grow up. So I want us to prove to the world that we are all artists regardless of our age. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeremy, follow that.
Stadiums.
You had to make it small. First question was what
would you like to see maybe from organisations?
Okay. To make it specific, so therefore it's more likely to happen, I want to see in every single opportunity already a baseline of access budget, aside from the actual budget. I would say the biggest barrier being disabled is it either doesn't count, like that shouldn't be part of the budget, or it takes up the whole budget. So for example, Screen Australia now have an access line that you have to fill out, and live performances aren't fully there yet sometimes, so that's a very quick and easy one. Just put it in there, just do it, please. A dream, golly gosh. A personal one, I would say, I mean, my dream is to be a talk show host, but to create a stage to have emerging and established marginalised artists coming on. I would sign one day, sign another, and almost become a channel where it's of disability and queerness and all that fabulousness in it, where it's maybe sure it starts with the queer disabled channel, but then people are like, this is the best, it's now the channel. Like, just because it's just got diversity, it's providing this platform where you know this time slot is for emerging artists, so I want to watch that, but sometimes we change it up so you have to watch an emerging artist.
You could do a live version of this at Fringe.
Done. We all need a Fringe show. All right, done. Come see it.
And I'll work on a stadium.
I was going to say, come see me at Pact.
Yeah.
Jeremy, we'll work on that show.
Yeah.
The stadium, too hard for us.
We'll build a little
Find a
one.
stadium.
Maybe,
Camera angles make it look big.
maybe the domain.
Exactly.
That might be a little bit closer for
Yes,
us.
yeah, you can talk to some friends. I'm going to open it up now to questions from the audience. So if you have a question, you just need to raise your hand, and I think Amy, who has the microphone, will come around to you. We also maybe have some questions on Slido. I'm not sure who, but at the back on Slido,
Hi.
Michelle.
Hello, everyone. I have a question online from Anonymous. As someone who has a capacity disability and is too disabled to participate in the programs and structures that even disability art studios provide, are there any recommendations on how to expand the range of opportunities that might be available to me?
Definitely, I think that's a question that goes to what we were talking about of lived experience is different for different people. And so some of those wonderful things that we talk about are coming to shared space together, coming into different spaces like the gallery, are not available to everyone.
Can I try and tackle that?
Yeah.
And it probably might not answer it. But as you said, we're all people who have different capacity at different moments. I would say, like, just really engage with Crip Time, and just say if it's a program where perhaps you can get support when applying for, maybe if it's something that you need to stretch out and you have the possibility for budget-wise, rather than making a 2-week residency, talk to the partner and see if you could do it over a longer period in shorter terms, so that the capacity is more enduring, so your spoons can rejuvenate, or just talk to community buddies. I would say whenever I'm not sure if I can do this, I talk to fellow Crip crew to get their opinion, which I know is what you're doing now. And then just, and talk to the org, because if they're a good org, they'll change. If they don't want to change, don't go with them. Just run. Those are my thoughts.
If it's about access, maybe coming before hours or after hours, if you contact the gallery and ask for me, I can definitely help to facilitate some before entry and after entry. This evening we have a sensory-friendly evening where there's no announcements and no music. So if that helps some people or helps a person online. We also have some really generous benefaction
funds that we've recently received, where we're working with artists with lived experience of disability, and that often provides for some people free entry to certain exhibitions or meeting with some of our staff to ask some questions. I know We Are Studios, we had an opportunity where they were able to talk with our photography staff, and I still hear artists say how beneficial that was to hear about how best to document their artworks. So those sorts of questions, if you contact us, we can always, we have a staff of people who I'm sure we can facilitate some access to information.
Yeah, thank you. Is there another question? Michelle. And then then we'll go to someone in the second to last row in the middle here.
So we have a question. Pathways in for others have been before and left a path for others to follow. How do you create new paths that subvert the existing structural and systemic barriers? Those that manage the existing paths, curators, grants, tastemakers, gatekeepers, and so on.
Yeah, Jeremy.
Anyone else speak if you don't like it. I only thought because literally my example of doing it is the job I have at Fringe. It was a one-person job advertised, and Bedelia and I spoke about it going, this is a massive job, I can't do it one person. What if we ask and just propose it to them? So if you have capacity to know what pathway you want that doesn't exist, have that conversation with either, or if you know what org, have that conversation. If they want to have that conversation, that's a good sign. Or a support org, for example, not doing a plug, but Accessible Arts and other access or amazing youth or emerging, I'm talking performance spaces, get their opinion, get their support and buddy up, because I think just starting that conversation opens up it. And if the more you can be, sorry, my brain's just stopped. If you know what you want, just do be honest and let someone know, because it'll automatically start edging that way. And then communal sharing, I would say, as well.
Sorry.
I was just going to reflect also on what we started with you, Emmanuel, talking about your high school experience and kind of being mentored by Safdar Ahmed and these people there wasn't necessarily a pathway there that you could see.
Yes.
You were also making one for yourself. Did you feel like that at the time?
Yes, I did. Because when I met my mentors, I remember one of the first keynotes I told my observation I told Abdul was like, it's more like Anglo-Asian culture when it comes to the art industry. And he made me, all my mentors, they all made me believe that it's possible to change the structure, And then I remember one of the things that I told Abdul, like, I want to make art, like African art, more recognizable. Because at first I thought there was no African art there, but he said that no, they are there, but they are not more recognizable. So those are like more structural barriers that we are creating, even though there was an existing one. And there are we've gotten good testimonies. There's a recent workshop that I had with Liverpool boys and girls, and there was one student that didn't like school. But after my program, the kids started coming to school always on time, and the teachers were very, very proud. And these are the hope or the little things that we do. You might not think it's big, but it's big for someone.
We've been looking at ways of how do you build those entry-level positions that are meeting community where community is. And Jeremy's predecessor is a great example, Madeline Stewart, who was a fringe artist who started working because she had started doing some work with Accessible Arts and was getting into advocacy, and that role that as access coordinator, started to build her capacity, and it's now, limitless. But this year we've taken that down to a more granular level with our First Nations program, where we brought on a First Nations artist in residence, and there's no condition attached to that. It's a weekly fee, and they can use whatever resources and just be part of the team. And the learnings and exchange we get from that has been so fruitful. And PJ, our artist in residence this year, we've actually created a new paid staff role for her next year as community liaison, that then starts building our First Nations team and makes way for another artist to come in and shape a role that they want to do within the organisation. And we'll be running out the same thing through our access work from next year as well. And I think a lot of it is to do with that, and it's to Jeremy's point about asking for what you want. Like, we're taking the approach of make a little bit of space, but let the artist or the creative or the person come in and do whatever they want in the organisation, and then find a gap together where there's a meeting of need and want, and create a role around that. And those little baby steps make all the difference, and they make the difference for an organisation that has limited resources as well, because as you can demonstrate need and you can demonstrate results and a benefit, it's much easier to go to your board the next year and say, no, we're carving this money out for this new role because we've done this, or to go and seek funding, and you can just incrementally increase it. And so that's our approach now. It's start tiny, meeting community where they are and what they want to do and how they want to be involved, and then start to build out roles that kind of fit in the organisation.
Jeremy, you wanted to say something else?
Yeah, I was just agreeing, and I wanted to add in, coming from producing side, is I don't know, like, what I don't know. Like, I don't know what I'm missing, and for, like, just because I'm looking for new ideas, I'm not going to know someone has one unless you put your hand up, type thing. So that's what I mean by do try and have those conversations, because otherwise we don't know that exists. I mean, literally it just happened, my talk show idea. Justine's already being like, producer brain being like, packed, who? So definitely, if you have the courage to, and the capacity to speak up and just be like, put your little opinion in, then do. And if community is here, reciprocity is there, so share, and yeah.
So we're closely running out of time. There will be an opportunity to maybe mingle a little bit at the end, and so I would encourage you to ask questions of our panelists as we mingle at the end, but I will maybe allow one more question. We probably have time. I think here in the middle section.
Hello. I'm going to put my little opinion in, or my little...
Yes.
Thanks. So my name's Beck Street, and actually, no, Danielle, hello. I work for Autism Spectrum Australia, and I'm really passionate about arts and inclusion, and trying to advocate for that all the time. But I'm actually here for myself today as a visual artist, and my question is, a lot of, myself included, because I also work, and then, spoons run out. So I have like limited time and capacity, and I'm also underemployed, like many of my friends are in the community. So we've got energy deficit, we've got financial deficit. So, but I would absolutely die to have my art up in really any art gallery, but especially somewhere big and special and important like the Art Gallery of New South Wales. So my question for myself, but also for my friends who are just like talented bedroom artists, a lot of them, is, like, what are the good entry points? Like, where can you start? Where's a good like, what are the first steps? Because honestly, I have no clue, and I ought to know because I have, through my job aspect, like, work in the community with different cultural organisations, and I still don't know. So, can you please help us out? Thanks.
Well, I'm going to say Sydney Fringe. Sydney Fringe is the only guaranteed opportunity once a year in Sydney that you can put on a show if you want to do it. And that's because we live in a city that is burdened by cost and curatorial boundaries and gatekeepers, and we work as hard as we can to find an entry point for you that meets you at your level in whatever way we can. And so I would say come and do Limitless. We've got exhibition space at Limitless, don't we? And or anywhere within the festival. That is a good entry point. And there is always room to move and negotiate on anything that is a roadblock for you in putting on a show or putting on anything, or a single artwork in a group collection, or whatever it is that you want to do. We will absolutely try and make it happen. I don't know about any other opportunities because I just do Fringe.
Can I add, as just producer brain, what I would say is like, yeah, literally do something like Fringe where you're guaranteed an exhibition, then email the bigger galleries that you want and get them to come to the exhibition, have that organisation, get Danielle there and be like, yo, friend. And because Danielle will show up. I mean, Danielle travelled all the way to Parramatta, so that is my producer brain is get your artwork up, and if you don't have spoons for that, put it on social media, tag or comment, I don't know, just get them looking at it and then email them. Being seen is so that would be my logical, I don't know. Danielle, you kind of run it.
Do you want to talk about We Are Studios as
yes,
well? Yeah.
I would say, We Are Studios. Yeah, we are disability-led. So if you, whether all form of disability, just reach out to us. We'll make sure we'll make your dreams come true. And I would like to give you another tip. As a general art artist, I would say don't cast your eggs in one basket. Don't burn bridges. No, because in the art industry, I'll tell the truth, it's a small world. Someone you might be assistant today, tomorrow might be your boss. So just make sure you know how to build relationships, and then don't hide your talent. Let everyone know who you are. Because I know we are living in a day and age that even taking a photo, we edit. Now everyone wants authenticity. People want you. We don't want copy. We want the real you. So when a creator is coming, he doesn't want you copying someone's work and be like, it's my work. Because they want to promote who you are. So just be there. I know there are other introverts. There are people like, I'm shy. But don't worry, you can hide behind the camera. Just post on whatever social media we want. And then when a creator or someone sees you, they can, get someone to be talk for you and stuff like that. So I'll say just express yourself. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think that's about all we have time. Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
I was going to say thank you for that question. That's the first thing. Coming to events, asking questions, building a network of allies like tonight, and everything that you all have said should give you inspiration that there are people there who are willing to see your work and give some advice. Share your work. If you're on Instagram, if you have an exhibition, let us know what's on. Recently, We Are Studios had a fabulous exhibition at Hawkesbury Regional Gallery. I went to see it, I came back to work, and I hassled one of our colleagues, you've got to go see this. He's gone out there, and now we'll see what happens. So it's about letting people know what you're doing and come to the gallery, see our exhibitions. If you have questions, email us. Let people know what you're doing, because as Jeremy said, as a producer, you're seeking out what people are doing, but sometimes someone sends you a catalogue or tells you about an event that really you wouldn't have known about. And I just want to give a call out. On the weekend, I went to see Sujai Wright's exhibition at Red Leaf Gallery. Absolutely stunning. And I'm, again, sharing that with my curatorial colleagues that they should go and see that, because there's some fabulous work out there. But talk about it. Post it. Tell us about it. Thank you.
I wanted to just say, just to sum up, I think there's actually, that brings us very nicely to this beginning that we started with family, of like the investment in relationships that really all of the panelists have been talking about this evening is one of the big things, playing the long game. And that also, I totally get that idea of like that knocking on the door is a really hard thing to do, and it feels often like you knock on the door, waiting for someone to answer. But that people who work in the arts, I would say for all my colleagues here, we're people who like to say yes more than we say no. And so coming to us and giving us an opportunity to say yes, we love it, right? Thank you very much for all of your attention and being with us here this evening. Thank you to our panelists here, Jeremy and Carrie, Emmanuel and Danielle. I'm going to throw to Accessible Arts Director Liz, who's going to make some finishing comments for us. Okay. And a microphone for Liz.
Just wait for AV.
There's a mic. Oh, hey, there's the button. There was that button. Hello, everybody. My name is Liz Martin. I'm the CEO at Accessible Arts. And I knew this would be a beautiful conversation, but wow. A huge thank you so much to each of you for your generous sharing of knowledge tonight. Really. Very upset. Jeremy Larenchev, Kerry Glasscock, Emmanuel Asante, Danielle Galata, and Justine Shue-Pearson. Thank you so much. Really a beautiful demonstration of how we do this work together with each other. Thank you. I'd like to also thank our partners across the year presenting access, ideas and insights. Of course, Art Gallery of New South Wales, but we've also worked with Artspace and Sydney Theatre Company this year. Our production partners are Live Crowd, and our wonderful funders, Create New South Wales and the City of Sydney. Thank you sincerely. And I'd like to send a massive shout out and thanks to the Accessible Arts team and board for being everything and beyond. It's a pleasure to work with you. And of course, thank you to each of you for coming and being a part of this conversation and sharing this moment, the conversations, the good times, the good company, and to celebrate International Day of People with Disability. It's a wonderful opportunity to be here in the room with you tonight. Couple of things I just want to flag, some opportunities if you're not aware of. Firstly, Creatability, a wonderful internship program delivered in partnership by Create New South Wales, Sound New South Wales, Screen New South Wales and Accessible Arts. It's 160 hours of paid internship. It's open for applications now until the 16th of December. It's an opportunity to work with Sydney Theatre Company, Lingo Pictures, Earth, Tantrum Youth Arts, ABC Compass, SPS, Out Loud, ABC Children's and Family Team. ABC Children's and Family Team. Please check it out. Apply, share it with friends and family and colleagues, let people know about it. Also, if you missed it, Accessible Arts partnered with Sydney Opera House to deliver Frame Shift. We had the live screening a couple of weeks ago at the Opera House. You can now, as of yesterday, watch it at home, online. Just do a search. Stream, Sydney Opera House, Accessible Arts, Frame Shift, something like that. It'll pop up. You can watch Auslan interpreted versions, captioned versions, and audio description versions. It's wonderful. 11 short films made by people with disability, telling authentic stories. Fabulous. And some really brilliant examples of creative access, which is a whole other story to talk about. I never thought I'd be this excited about a piece of policy. But Justine mentioned it earlier. If you haven't yet had a chance, have a read. Read Equity, the Arts and Disability Associated Plan, and see what the fuss is about. and see the opportunities there and know that there's $8 million attached to this. This is a very real commitment by government, and it's a reminder for all of us, what can we do? How can we make things better in the space? We thank you for joining online, and I hate to say this, but for those in the room, there are light refreshments available. And as a couple of people have already noted, there is some performances or some workshops for you to enjoy tonight. The evening is a sensory-friendly art after hours over in the original building. There's a interactive wellbeing garden headed up by Eugenie Lee from 6 till 8 o'clock. And then Sujo Wright and Angie Gatto will be leading Move from 7 till 8. Both will be in the original Nala Nauru building. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening, and I hope you can join me for a drink if you're in the room.